Hello and welcome back for episode 29 of the Delve podcast. I'm Allie. I'm a staff therapist here at Delve Psychotherapy of Chicago.
And I'm Adam. I'm the executive and clinical director at Delve.
Help us spread the word with this podcast. We're not trying for fame here. We don't plan to run any ads. We're just trying to add value and be helpful to as many people as possible. So if you enjoy this podcast, we ask that you share it with at least one other person. It'd be really helpful.
And if you've already shared it with that person and you think it would be helpful and you shared it and they didn't listen to it, share it again and then add one of those emojis that indicates sternness.
You're very serious about this.
You should listen. If I can't get you into therapy, maybe you can listen to some therapists talk about therapy.
There you go. Think of that person in your life.
You know who they are. They come to mind.
Here at Delve, we offer individual, couples, group, and family therapy. So if you're interested in a 15-minute free consultation call, head on over to delvepsych.com. That's DELVEPSYCH.com. And also, please do check out our Substack. If you like the topics that we chat about here on the podcast, we're talking about even more meaty, interesting topics on the Substack. So head on over to delvepsych.substack.com.
I went on a little bit of a Substack writing, I don't know, like tirade there for a little bit. Now I'm stuck on an article, so
Okay.
wish me luck.
Well, I wish you luck. Yeah, there was like one day where you were like, "Oh, I wrote this one, and then I wrote this one, and then I was like, how do you have all these ideas in your head and can just like put them on page so quickly?"
I'm trying to understand society, and sometimes I externalize that desperation to understand.
Well, I hope your writer's block gets unblocked soon.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Yeah. So how are you feeling today, Adam?
I now have whatever on earth illness you had last week, which is wild because though we work together, we don't meet in person. So you've somehow contaminated me from afar.
I telepathically gave you my sickness. I'm very sorry. I think a lot of things are getting around right now. There's a lot of people that have been out sick. So I'm sorry.
I suppose that's a thing, right? Like when it starts to get cold, everybody goes indoors instead of being outdoors. So now you're just sitting in rooms with sick people. So we all share everything in November.
True. And Halloween just happened and everyone got together for big Halloween gatherings. So.
Oh, and passed food back and forth.
Absolutely.
I have the candy that's been sitting in my germ-infested house for a week.
I love it. We're struggling a little bit with daylight savings time, but we're here and we're excited to talk with you all today.
We are. I will also say that the times when you're sick or you're tired or you're sleepy or you're distracted by things are times when you're very likely to get in a fight with your partner and or a friend.
Oh, do you know this from personal experience, Adam?
Well, I counsel people on this all the time. So I mean to suggest that these are times when you're feeling like this. It's not uncommon to find yourself externalizing to some degree.
Yeah, I suppose like we're not feeling like our best selves and our inhibitions are kind of down and maybe we're more prone to just like not be as intentional with our words.
And not be as responsive to theirs.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That makes sense. All right. So today's topic, I think it's so relatable to everyone and I think it'll be really helpful. Okay. So how to listen to a partner or friend. And then in parentheses, stop trying to fix it. I think that like so often when our partner or one of our friends comes to us with a problem, they're venting, they're looking for some emotional support, a lot of us just jump to like, okay, well, here's what you can do. And well, why don't you do this? Or if I was in your situation, I would do that. And it's like, whoa. Wait a minute. Like sometimes the friend or the partner just simply wants to be held. I don't know. Yeah, what are your thoughts, Adam?
I think that's exactly right. And I guess I'm interested in the tendency to do this as well. I wonder what your thoughts are on why we do this, why we so quickly jump to fixing.
Maybe the person that is receiving the other person's emotional vulnerability, maybe they're uncomfortable sitting in that emotion with them, like maybe themselves, like it's hard for them to just sit in the suck, sit in the hard feelings, and they'd rather just be like, oh well, here's what you can do to fix it, so you don't feel that way anymore, and I don't have to be around you feeling that way anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, kind of like an overwhelm with the emotions themselves.
Yeah, that's my first thought.
I also wonder about maybe internalized belief that if you are struggling, not only will I have to deal with that, but that may mean something about our relationship as well. So, especially in a partnership, um, if you're not happy generally, then I haven't been able to make you happy,
Hmm.
which then leaves me in a situation where I'm like, great, so I'm an ineffective partner. So you're mad about this thing that's happened with your boss, which generalizes to you're mad generally, which generalizes to you're unhappy overall, which means that I'm now useless, worthless in your life.
And that's not fun to face and or feel for yourself. So it's like, yeah, let's fix this as quickly as possible. So it doesn't mean anything about me or our relationship, and we can just get back to everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you're content, if you're peaceful, then not only is that I get to avoid any challenging confrontation-y interactions with you, I also can maintain whatever belief structure I started with about
Right.
us or myself.
Right.
There's no
Right.
challenge in it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I also wonder about, how many people amongst us, if a parent was upset about something in childhood that was kind of a big problem. Some households have parents that were able to kind of maintain their general faculties through stressful times and still relate to people in some pro-social, supportive, uh, teachable ways. But many of us had parents that sort of lost their cool in a way. Maybe they lost it through that kind of internalized despair, or perhaps they lost it in an externalized fit of rage, but they lost it somehow. And if they lost it, if it was possible for them or someone or something to be destroyed as a result of stressors, then how do we come to think about stressors in our adult lives?
Oh man, gestures can be dangerous, and we need to like fix it as soon as possible so bad things don't happen. Basically, you're saying perhaps the impulse to just go straight to fixing is maybe a response from childhood of like how scary this can be, and any sort of maybe like emotional issue, conflict, problem, whatever is actually triggering some sort of like, I don't know, perhaps even a fight or flight response, and like we need to solve this. We need to like, nope, this can't be a thing.
Exactly, exactly. Tamp it back down into place.
Right.
Which is also a way we've talked about reacting and responding to emotion before. This is something of a reaction to emotion. If we were contented and now all of a sudden the dynamic feels to be strained, then we're reacting in two ways. One, we're trying to cling to the previous kind of experience, cling to the contentment that we previously shared or the joy that we previously shared. Maybe we were happy 4 seconds ago and I want to cling to that. But we're also simultaneously probably running away from confrontation / all the feelings that come with confrontation.
Yeah. I uh, I'm curious your thoughts on this, because I think social media zeitgeist, TikTok land, everything like that, I've heard there's this sort of narrative that, like, when it comes to coming to friends or partners that tend to try to want to just like fix things right away, we tend to see that more in male identifying people than female identifying people. And I'm wondering if you agree or disagree with that.
I by and large, I generally agree. I think the more common variable is has to do with people's general comfort with emotions. If you have more comfort with emotions, then you're generally going to be more comfortable just kind of sitting with them.
Yeah.
But overall, I would say that male identified folks in our society tend to be less comfortable with emotion. And what happened, we kind of talked about this last session, what happens to men when they express emotions at a really young age? They're usually told that they need to toughen up, shut it down. So all of that emotional experience that you had, you've learned that it cannot be displayed. You'll be attacked if it's displayed.
Right.
Or you'll be shunned, or you'll be ostracized, or you'll be left. We have that example of a kid starts crying and the parent says, I'm going to go in the other room and you let me know when you're done crying. It's like, great. So if I'm sad, I'm abandoned. So don't show sad. Now, showing mad is sometimes more acceptable. And if you get it right, showing the right kind of mad is certainly socially approved of for men. But you now have that adult male individual who has learned over and over again, do not show this emotion, which means I'm uncomfortable with it at all
Right.
levels. I'm uncomfortable with yours. I'm uncomfortable with mine. So if we're ever near any of that, I'm either going to try to fix it or shut down.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I think by and large that men are taught to just like man up, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, figure it out, don't show any emotion, and maybe even like the message is like you're less of a man if you do show emotion. And so yeah, I can see why then, when their girlfriend comes to them crying in a really emotional space, maybe something's wrong at work or with her friendships, and she just wants a shoulder to cry on, and her boyfriend just goes straight to like, well, you should tell your boss this, or you should handle it this way. And I could see the girlfriend leaving that conversation feeling like, oh man, I don't really feel like my emotions were held in that moment. I felt like they were sort of like, I don't know, tried to be tampered down. And that's not really what I was hoping for in that discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever emotional experience I'm having, we're not going to deal with that. We're going to deal with how to stop having this emotional experience rather than validating this emotional experience.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I wonder if I could propose a few alternative ways of responding. But in order to do so, I think we got to get some mentality stuff out of the way.
Okay.
If you and I are having a lovely conversation, Allie, and then you say a thing that activates me, and you didn't even know that you activated me, but you say a thing that activates me, and I say something like, "Wow, here we go again." How are you feeling? What are you thinking? What's happening for you?
Oh man. I think then I immediately sort of like, oh, I immediately am sort of on guard and I tense up like, oh, okay. My partner's activated now, and or friend, whoever, and and I know now we're about to start a fight. We're just about to start an argument again.
So what do you say in response if you're not on the top of your game?
Um, someone says, "Here we go again." I don't know. I don't know how I would respond. Like maybe I'd be kind of exasperated too. Like, ugh, like what? What? Like I can't express whatever. Like, like I have to like be on tiptoes around you or something like that.
Exactly. And we've seen so many arguments go basically exactly that way.
Yeah.
Um, you and I are professionals. If both of us have our heads about us and we were having to have a tense conversation and neither of us was terribly activated, or even if we were, but we were just cognizant of the rules of argumentation, I think we could have a fairly sterile, very productive conversation about whatever that tense topic was, because we're trained in this and we're good at this, generally speaking. And because of the TikTok, Instagram, etc. generation, I think that there's this belief that that's what healthy argumentation is. And if it looks any different than that, that's sterile, careful, deliberate, reflective, responsible communication at every single line. If it's anything less than that, then it's unhealthy. And I have a few. Well, firstly, agree or disagree?
I would agree. Yes.
The problem with that is that not everybody has the time to sit and think about how to disagree every single day.
Yeah.
Secondly, you don't have control over the other person, so they could be a perfectly fine interlocutor, and then today they just respond poorly. Do we just throw out everything the moment that they respond poorly?
No.
So
Yeah.
what do we do? Well, and then we get tired. We get exhausted. So we ourselves, even with the training, even with the whatever, like I get really activated. I say the wrong thing. I get out over my skis. I get defensive. I get eager, whatever I get. But I could end up fucking it up, even though I know what to do.
Yeah, I think there has to be a little bit more grace there because, yeah, it would be really nice if our conversations and disagreements all the time looked like, oh, thank you for bringing that to my attention.
I
Um,
appreciate you validating the fact that I brought that to your attention. It was vulnerable of me to do so, and you're honoring my vulnerability.
like, especially when we're triggered by something, right? Especially when our emotions are heightened and like, come on, it's almost like unrealistic to expect conversations to go like that all the time. And so I think we just need to like give a little grace to each other that like this stuff is really hard and we're doing the best that we can.
Yeah, and sometimes the best you can is you completely exhausted. You speak out of turn. You say the wrong thing. You get activated. Then your partner gets activated, or your friend gets activated, or even your boss gets activated. And now both of us are sitting here activated, blaming each other, and we're like 10 minutes into this argument, going, "What the fuck happened?"
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's reality, and it's one of the things that I think that social media is not spent time talking about is the reality of a real disagreement with real people is that people are imprecise, exhausted, reactive, overwhelmed, terrified, and ineffective. That's the starting point. Now, what do we do? Rather than, oh,
Hmm.
we should have a slow startup and code words and everybody should be following all of these, basic principles. You're gonna fuck it up. You're gonna fuck it up.
Yes. So, how should we approach this instead? Like how do we truly just listen to a partner or a friend when they come to us?
Well, Allie, I want you to think in your mind right now about the person in this world that you trust the absolute most. The person who you are on the greatest terms with and you believe you have the strongest, most solid relationship with ever. And you don't need to tell us who it is.
Okay.
And I want you to imagine one day they say something like, see, this is why I can't talk to you. Now, of course, they would never say that, right? Because they're your like closest person.
Yeah.
But that person says that to you. What's your response?
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
I'm shocked and I'm really hurt and sad. And I'm like, what? What's wrong with me? Like, I thought I was doing okay in this relationship. Like, what did I do?
Notice that that's a question.
Yeah.
we start these disagreements so often with defensiveness, disregard, exhaustion, counter argument, litigating the facts, etc. The reason why I had it be the person that you trust the absolute most
Yeah.
is because if something came that way, you're sort of like, wait, this is not our relationship.
Right.
And so something's clearly off here.
Yeah.
So I need to understand what's going on. Now imagine the same thing comes with somebody that you've been fighting with a lot lately, and you don't trust as much, and you're not entirely sure if they have your back. And then they say, see, this is why I can't talk to you. Now, how do you respond?
Well, with defensiveness and probably like a shot back at them. like
Exactly.
yeah.
What's that tell us? It teaches us that this is far more about the degree of belief and trust that I have in the relationship than it is about what they actually said.
Right.
If I trust them, they get grace. If I don't trust them, all of a sudden I'm going to fight them. But is that effective?
No.
And now if you think about a couple who's been having a hard time lately, maybe they've, had 2-3 years of rocky marriage and they're trying to get back to trusting one another. You have this really rough chicken and egg situation where it's like, in order to be able to respond effectively, given the mentality I just gave you, in order to respond effectively, I need to trust you, but I don't trust you because we've been fighting for 2 years. So how the hell can we get back to a place where I both trust you and respond well at the same time if those two things are delicately interlocked?
Right. We need to work first on the relationship, maybe, and the trust in there. And
Well, but then also that is heavily interrelated to like how we argue and how we disagree.
yeah, it's tricky. It's gonna be hard at first. It's gonna be clunky.
What I would argue is that trust is a decision. It's a thing that you choose to give to another person. It's a risk that you take every day, even with the people that you trust the most. Perhaps it feels to you like that trust is secure, but every day we hear about somebody who's sort of like, I trust my partner or I trust my, parent. And then 20 years later, I discovered that they were hiding a big secret, or they made a desperate decision, a devastating decision that totally knocks me on my ass. I was secure for those 20 years.
Right.
Those are 20 good years of security. Now maybe I'm questioning everything, but that's later. And that whole time, it's not that they earned my trust. I just gave it. And in this case, in the example that I'm giving, I gave it in foolhardy fashion, perhaps, but I gave it. And I was able to be secure within myself because I gave that trust. And then I could participate in the relationship well.
Yeah, it's scary. And I can see why it would feel like a risk. But yeah, I've heard you say this before. It's like if you're going to enter into, especially if we're talking about like a romantic relationship with someone, like you have, at some point, you have to choose to trust them, Like if there had been, say, some loss of trust, some infidelity in the past, if you've worked through that, for a while in therapy, and if you're choosing to continue in the relationship, like you can't just keep like holding that over your partner's head over and over and over again, and like not like never moving past it. Like at some point you have to choose to trust if you're going to stay in the relationship with them.
Absolutely. And the majority of the time, the vast majority of the time, today isn't the breakup. It's not the friend breakup. Today isn't the relationship breakup. The vast majority of the time, it's not breakup day.
Yeah.
So as a result, you are trying to continue a relationship with this person. You assume they're trying to continue a relationship with you, which means that you need to be self-sacrificial in your love.
Yeah.
And if today is the breakup day, then I want you to focus on your values, not your wants. You want to keep them. You want to convince them. You want to get back at them for the hurt. But you probably have values of trust and honesty and self-belief and belief in them. You pick this person because you care about them and love them and want them to be happy on some level. you don't want them to go, but I would imagine there's still a part of you that wants them to be happy. So you focus on those values rather than your wants. And if you can really think about those deeper values, whether today's the breakup day or it's not, then that can be the language through which, the lens through which you speak.
Yeah. So getting back to like when someone comes to us with emotional vulnerability, a problem, an issue, something they're really struggling with, it seems like you pointed out when I asked a question of the person. So is that part of what you would suggest?
Curiosity is the number one thing. What's wrong? Are you okay? Two incredible questions to inject into these moments, right?
Yes.
And that's tough if somebody is saying something like, "You're being an asshole right now." What's wrong? Are you okay? Seems weird. Maybe even like self-abandonment on some level. You just
Yeah.
called me an asshole and I'm going to take care of you? What the fuck?
Yeah. It doesn't seem to meet the level of, it's like they're going low, you're going high.
Right. But why would we do that?
Because we could have a more productive conversation that way.
We'll actually figure out what the hell's going on
Right.
and we care about them. It's easy to love someone when they're easy. It's hard to love somebody when they're at their worst and doing their worst.
Yep. Those are the moments that really test relationships, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so curiosity. Uh what else? What else would you suggest in those moments?
Yeah, I can give you a few additional ones. So these are the general strategies for being effective and supportive in a conversation. Firstly, a lot of people will say, I don't know what to say. You want to know what to say when you don't know what to say? You say, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Be vocal about the experience that you're having yourself. So somebody comes to you and they give you a bunch and you say, I don't know what to say, but I'm just going to sit with you right now. If you want to keep talking, great. If you don't, fine. So that's part one. Curiosity can be helpful. Starting to ask open-ended questions, non-leading questions. Don't try to convince anybody of anything. Just try to figure out what's going on.
Hmm.
Where's this coming from? Are you okay?
Hmm.
That's closed-ended technically, but um,
Yeah.
so we can get into what are called reflections. So we use reflections quite a lot in therapy land, especially. And there's a couple of different ways that you can reflect. You can reflect content to someone, or you can reflect emotion to someone. Um, the classic reflection is somebody says, I'm really stressed out at work today and I just don't know what I'm going to do. And the reaction is, it sounds like you're really stressed. It sounds like you're really lost in what to do. It's like A to A, essentially. I'm going to give you back exactly what you gave me. But there's ways that you can generalize that, right? Like, sounds like you're really overwhelmed. So now I've
Right.
picked a new word that describes the totality. Um, that sounds rough, man, is kind of like a reflecting back. It's kind of a responsive reflection. Sounds like you're in a rough spot, but I'm reflecting back to you what I'm getting from you.
Yeah.
Um, you can also reflect emotion. So somebody says, "I'm really stressed out at work, and I don't know what I'm going to do." Um, if you say something like, um, "Man, I hear you panicking right now." So panic is kind of like an emotion, right?
Yeah.
Overwhelm, I used a minute ago, is kind of also emotion like. But yeah, so responding with what emotion you think you're seeing in the other person can be really effective. It's not like here's maybe a better reflecting content. Reflecting content might be sounds like you just have a ton on your plate right now. So
Right.
that's stuff versus emotion might be overwhelm or panic.
Yeah.
How we
I
doing?
I find that just reflecting back what you've heard goes a lot farther than people may think. I mean, we use this all the time in therapy, right? This is like one of the core like therapy skills. Because I think it's just for the other person, it's like, oh, okay, my therapist really gets it. They really understand what's going on for me. Which just showing somebody understanding and that you care to understand goes a long way, because how often I feel like in our lives, like people don't care to just like take a moment to understand what's going on for us.
And
Like,
now I'm not alone in it, right?
yes, yes.
Yeah, and I'll say my former mentor, there was a day when I was just really, really upset about something that was happening with my grad school. And I was talking with him about it, and I was full anger and irritability and arguments and counter arguments and here are the injustices and all of that, right? Like
It,
I was just venting about how they had wronged me, right? In my mind.
mhm.
And he looked at me and he said, I've never seen you hurt this bad.
Mm.
That almost got me tearful. I almost cried right there, right then. And what's he doing? In that case, he's not just reflecting the emotion that I'm showing him. He's reflecting the emotion that he knows I've got underneath that. The
Right.
emotion I'm really showing him. It's a hard skill, right? But if you can learn those primary, secondary emotion things that we talked about in previous episodes, that's a really, really useful skill.
Yeah.
I can see how much shame you're carrying right now. You say
Yeah.
that to somebody when they're angry, maybe you misread it and they go, I ain't ashamed. Or maybe you nailed it.
Yeah. And they're just being
And then
defensive about it.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
A couple of strategies that I find get maybe overused is relating to or disclosing. Um, so use these sparingly, but don't abandon them completely. So I've felt this way before. Let me tell you about when, or I've been through something similar. Can I tell you about the time that I've gone through it? Um, we tend to sort of think through our own lens and through our own experience. And so we want to be hesitant about using that as the primary tactic for helping other people. That said, if you do have something that is right on point for exactly what they've been through, I think you can do it in brief or you can ask for permission to go into detail from them.
Mhm.
So, hey, I've actually dealt with something like this. Do you want to hear about that?
Mm.
And see what they say. Or the abbreviated version would very much be something like, I remember being in a spot like this. It's impossible. See
Yeah.
how brief that is? See how
Yeah.
it's like I'm relating to the fact that you're in this place. I know this feeling, but I'm not making this about me. I'm still here with you.
I wonder how you feel about, because sometimes, and I don't know, I maybe I need help trying to figure out why this is, but like I feel like sometimes when I've heard people say to me, or I've said to people like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I know exactly what you're going through." Sometimes that can almost feel discrediting for the other person,
Yeah, absolutely.
and I'm wondering why you think that is.
Because you've done no display of actual understanding.
Right.
So tell me why you understand. This happens all the time in couples therapy too. An adjacent process is somebody explains a lot of things. They'll give you 25 sentences on what they're feeling, and then the partner says, "Got it." My reaction almost every time is, "What'd you get?"
Yeah.
Explain what you get. Explain what you understand. Explain what you see. Um, and if you're not entirely sure, it's not incumbent on you to fully understand it. Hell, one thing you could say here, again, kind of adjacent to I don't know what to say, is I could tell that there's a lot here. I, I'm not fully grasping all of its complexity, but I can tell blah thing, right? Like I can tell that you're really stressed and it sounds like this is a really tough spot. I can tell that you are pissed at this boss and trying to figure out what to do. This is what I get, even if I don't understand the whole picture.
Yeah. So with well-meaning people, I would say before you jump to like, oh yeah, I completely understand like what you're going through. Like I totally get it. make sure you've actually taken the time to sit with them and be curious, ask the questions, reflect back to them, really get an understanding first. I think that would be more helpful, because I understand why people say that. They think that by saying that they can express to them that like they express to them understanding. But are you truly understanding?
Yeah, prove it, asshole. Another very common strategy is a reframe. So somebody says, here's what's happened, and then you end up trying to change the way that they're thinking about the situation. This can actually be really powerful. So they say something like, I'm really upset at my boss. I'm tired of the way that he's treating me. I don't know what to do. I don't like this job, and I'm just trying to figure out how to kind of like improve things at work. And you come back with, you just said you hate your boss and you don't like this job. So why are you trying to improve things? Maybe it's okay to just kind of survive this and see if you can find your exit. So that's a different way of thinking about the same data or the same circumstance that can be really powerful. But I would argue that if you always do it, practice some of the other strategies.
Yeah.
And if you validate first through curiosity, well, firstly, if you're curious, then your reframe is going to be more nuanced, because you'll have a better understanding of the situation. You'll have a better understanding of the context. But secondly, if you validate through reflection, especially, all of your efforts to reframe are going to be more effective.
Yeah. I could see jumping straight to the reframe to be a little dangerous, because it could feel invalidating if you haven't first taken the time to like validate what they're feeling first and their perspective and their point of view first. Because I could also see it, I don't know, what do you think? The reframe, I don't know. If we're not careful, I could see it coming off as trying to fix or trying to come up with a solution.
It is.
Yeah.
I think that it's offering a different way of thinking rather than a different thing to do, which helps, but it is trying to fix. That's why I would say do it second. There are the caveat here is that sometimes people want this, and that's why they've come to you. I would still say if you ask more questions, you'll know more context. And if you validate first, then all of your efforts to reframe will be more effective.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It'll be received much better. What else we got?
Well, I was going to jump to reassurance for just a second. So somebody comes to you and says, I'm really stressed out at work. There's so much going on. I don't know what I'm going to do. The response is, you're going to get through this. Why doesn't that work?
That's the one I really have qualms with, is the reassurance, because I think that one is also overused. I don't know. That one also doesn't validate how hard this is for this person. We also haven't, if we just go straight to like, everything will be okay, you'll get through it, it really invalidates like how tough a position this person feels that they're in, and you haven't taken the time to truly understand what's going on for them and how difficult it is and validate that. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I feel.
Yep. No, I think you're exactly right. So again, if you validate first, your efforts to reassure are going to be more effective. But secondly, I like to personalize my reassurance, and I want to be truthful and honest about my reassurance. If Allie, you were to message me tonight and say, I had a really fucking awful session. My client is pissed. I feel like that was just garbage. I don't know what the hell was wrong with me, but I was way off base. I would probably say to you several things. One, I'd be curious and I'd ask you some questions if I had the time. Two, I'd probably reflect, if I could, how difficult this of a situation this is for you. But then I could imagine myself saying, and I bet you have seen me say things along the lines of, I have seen you in challenging situations with clients numerous times. And I know that while they were upsetting for you and finding the path was difficult, I've seen you accord yourself effectively in all of those circumstances. So I suspect while this situation feels really overwhelming and super confusing and you don't know how it's going to turn out and you're not sure what to do, I've seen you do this well before. Does that feel reassuring?
Yes, that
Why?
lands.
Why?
Well, first, because you took the time. You didn't just like brush it off and be like, it's fine, because it's not fine. I'm upset right now, you know? And so you took the time to like validate how hard this is. And then I liked that you called upon, I would say this is kind of like a strengths-based approach of like calling back to like how you've witnessed me get through tough situations that are similar to this before. Um and so I don't know, it feels more truthful in that sense that like you know me, you've seen me get through it. It's um I don't know, it makes me feel comforted and hopeful.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not reassuring based on nothing. I'm reassuring based on what I've witnessed, what I believe to be true about you,
Yeah.
and my general kind of degree of belief in you.
Yeah. I like that. It feels more real.
Yeah. Okay, let me also talk about some harder strategies. These are some of the ones that are more difficult and more nuanced. So one is role modeling. This is specifically in a situation where you are um, more the expert on the situation or more the senior or the elder or whatever else in the situation. Uh, your way of supporting may be to just demonstrate how to respond to the situation. So I'm imagining you have a situation where, let's say you are 25 and your nephew is 15, and suddenly we're grieving a loss in the family, and you're near the nephew, and you can tell that the nephew's having a really hard time. Now you could turn to them and say words. I'm curious, and I'm reflecting, and I'm disclosing, no, right? But sometimes we overrate words. And so one of the things that you can do is just display, this is how we grieve. I'm going to show you what it looks like to grieve.
Hmm.
And that may mean you bring them alongside you. That may mean that at some moment in time you step away and you're tearful. At some moment you may say something about yourself that's nothing to do with them. This is challenging, but I know that I need to go through this. That's a way of role modeling. Um, it may mean that you also display the things that are less compatible with the emotion, the obvious emotion. So every time we go to a wake, people stand around and laugh. What the hell are we laughing about? We're grieving, but we come together. It's a source of community, and we laugh together because our grief is not monotonic. So role modeling, when you specifically have the guiding, like you can be the guiding light for another, is just displaying how to meet the moment.
Yeah, that one I really appreciate that example because it makes more sense to me because that one does feel a little bit more like abstract and like harder to like understand and know how to do that in the moment. But I feel like it's like one of those things that we do naturally with people that are maybe younger than us that look up to us. Like you mentioned, like someone who's your nephew. Um, and so it's like I think like we do these things naturally and we don't even realize it. But now like that we're more cognizant of how this works, I think it can be really powerful.
Absolutely. We also have metaphors and similes. Um, Therapists love a good metaphor. And when you have access to them, I think they can be really powerful descriptions of the other person's experience. They can be really powerful ways of demonstrating your understanding of the situation. Parables as well can be a really helpful way of reframing through kind of that kind of abstract metaphorical approach. So not everybody has these in the bag, but being that person who says I'm really overwhelmed at work and I'm not really sure what to do. So, saying something, this is a little cheesy, but I'm coming up with it on the spot. So give me some grace here. But something along the lines of like, yeah, it's kind of like being in a hot air balloon. You don't know how to fly it and you're up there by yourself.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's kind of a picture of like, well, fuck, what are we going to do here? We're going to hope this thing comes down slow and in a field. Right. That's a way of kind of demonstrating like I get the kind of general sense of powerlessness and optionlessness.
Yes, absolutely. I've definitely used this too with clients, and I think that kind of imagery can be really, really powerful. And again, it's like the client can be like, "Oh wow, they truly described how I'm feeling in such a visual, visceral way that it's like, wow, they really do get it." And like I really, really appreciate that. Yeah, I feel like I've come up with better metaphors myself than the ones that are coming to mind right now. But
Yep,
like
it's
feels
hard.
like you're on an island all by yourself and like,
Right.
no one can get to you, or it feels like you're grasping at straws, or yeah. Those sorts of things can be really helpful and make someone feel really heard and understood. So
Absolutely. We should start writing down some of our favorite metaphors.
yeah, I should write those down because
See if we can get some parables in there too.
yeah.
Okay, so this one's a little bit situational. It's a strategy I call joining. Well, I don't call it, people call it joining. And it is context dependent. So you don't want to do this in a situation when you are truly not actually impacted by the thing. This is only when you are also in it with the person. So your wife comes to you and says, I'm 6 weeks into this new job. I don't think this is a fit. I was so excited about it. I was sure that this was the right path for me. And here I am, and I'm like, I don't think this is right. This doesn't feel good. I don't like this environment. I'm really stressed. I'm really lost. And I don't think I'm doing well. And this whole thing feels really dangerous. What are we gonna do? What's the power of that?
Well, it tells her that she's not in this alone. Like, we're in this together and I got you. We're going to figure it out together.
One line. Really one word there. She's saying I said we.
We.
You ain't alone.
Yep. Powerful.
Yeah. Gratitude is yet another one that you have to pull out carefully because you can't demand that somebody have gratitude. This is another way of invalidating. So somebody's like, I'm really stressed out and overwhelmed at work. And you're like, but aren't you so grateful that we have oxygen? There's no oxygen on Venus. So you should be grateful that you have oxygen to breathe. It's like, well, I just want to talk about my job, man. Come
Like,
on.
come on.
So you don't want to demand gratitude of somebody else. But let's imagine that they said something like, "I'm really overwhelmed at work. I don't know what to do." And you say, "Man, I don't know what to do either." Harkening back to the first skill, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do either. But I'm so grateful that you trusted me with this. That you trusted me to tell me what's going on with you.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing this with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. That in itself is so small, but it can be really powerful. Um, that it can help the other person feel like safe and appreciated for because maybe for the person it was really hard for them to like come to this person and share this emotional vulnerability, and so when the other person like thanks them, it's like, oh. Yeah.
Now, many of the examples I gave here, we were giving in response to an external thing. Let's go back to where we started. And Allie, I just said to you, you never listen.
Hmm. Wow, okay. Thanks for sharing that with me. um, um, ha- hmm. Where's this coming from for you?
Yeah. What am I missing? I'm trying to
Yeah,
listen. What am I missing?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I've been trying to tell you for the past 2 weeks how just like how frustrated this thing that's happening between the two of us is for me. And it just seems like nothing's changing and you're not listening.
Okay, so it feels like I haven't really taken the time to like understand or hear out like how difficult this situation has been for you.
Reflecting. Nicely done. Yeah, no, I mean I brought it up like what, 6 times?
Hmm. Where do I want to go next with this? Okay.
Well, and let's notice that, right? This is a professional therapist
Yeah.
with years of experience, improv training, in a fake argument right now saying like, "Well, fuck, I'm not really sure what to say." I think that should be humbling for us all, right?
Yeah.
If Allie's in this moment sort of going like, fuck, this is hard. All right, what? Slow down. Everyone should be slowing down.
Yeah.
If in this context, even Allie is sort of saying like, fuck, where do I go here? She's
Hmm.
good at this, right? Um, we should all be humble enough to realize you don't have the answer right away. Doing this is extremely hard and is going to take carefulness and probably a multiple attempts. If Allie can't just land it in one shot on the spot, who the fuck can?
Yeah. And even like it's so much easier, I feel like doing this with a client. But when like you're coming at me with something I've done wrong, like I even feel the impulse in myself to get defensive. Like 6 times. I don't think it was 6 times. Like this is like a fake scenario, but like I know me and I know myself, and I feel like okay, if you brought this up 6 times, I would have recognized that and I would have like fixed it earlier. Like, like
Exactly. Exactly.
so so yeah, it's like
I'm
it's
even
just
able
so
to
tough.
rattle Allie in a fake conversation.
It's hard.
Somebody coming at you's hard.
Yeah.
Did you figure out what direction you do want to go?
Um, yeah, I think well, first I'd probably be like, "Oh wow, I don't know what to say." And then what about the situation do you feel like I'm not fully understanding?
Cool. And we could imagine that the other person at this point has an option, right? The other person can keep doubling down on all the ways that you're fucking up, Allie,
Mhm,
or the other person can soften and actually give you a way into conversation. If
mhm.
they continue to double down and double down and double down with blame and accusation after a couple of attempts now to try to ease the situation, it's boundary setting. You can boundary set right from the beginning, by the way. You could sort of say, hey, I don't know that this is a productive conversation. I'm interested in this and I'll come back, but I think we should stop right now because this doesn't feel
Yeah.
totally comfortable. That's a fine boundary to set right away, or to take a couple of tries to soften the situation and then boundary set. But imagine they did soften in that moment. Imagine in that moment they do say, I'm sorry, I'm just really upset. I'm really upset, and it feels like the stakes are really big, and I'm coming at you really hard, and I shouldn't. And let's you're right. Let's try to have more of a productive conversation. So then they
Mhm.
soften, and now we're in.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I want to point out here is that I think any keen listener would be hearing Allie in this situation going like, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy and his fucking bullshit arguments, right?
Yeah.
Um, combat, defend, protect, right? And it's fair game to do so. I just want you to understand that the majority of situations, the majority of circumstances, people are not ready to just end all relationships with somebody because they come at them in that moment in a less than healthy way, in a volatile way. Most of the time, people are not in a position where they want to actually end a relationship outright. And saying, well, fuck you too, then, is kind of a relationship ending, or at least risking the end of a relationship move to make. I would also argue the person that hard started is risking the same thing. But in the real world, people will say things a bit untoward. Your wife of 20 years will one day say, will you put the fucking dishes away? You don't immediately go, hey, you don't talk to me that way. And if you're going to talk to me that way, then our marriage is over. It's like, we're 20 years deep. What's going on right now?
Yeah. What's happening?
Right. Now, if that's happening constantly, then we have a different conversation on our hands and we can strategize about how to handle that differently.
Mhm.
But if this is a one-off or a rare event or something of that nature, then we can meet it with grace and care and support.
Right. I love all of these strategies. I think it's very practical. And again, like this is hard stuff and it's going to take a while to like implement, and sometimes you're not going to know what to say. And in that case, you can literally say, okay, wow,
I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say here.
Well, and
Yeah.
I also want to add one more little strategy as well, because I'm not condoning people abandoning themselves, their own boundaries, and their own needs in these relationships. I'm just saying that perhaps in a moment when tensions are high, you don't have to put that at the very top of the list. If you can catch what's going on and be helpful to the other person that you're deeply invested in, and you suspect that if they could calm down a little bit, that they would be able to help you too and be able to be more participatory, then it's okay to take a second and to just help, even if they're not at their best. It's easy to love somebody when it's easy to love them. It's really hard to do it when it's hard to do it. And I offer an approach all the time I call the 3 days later approach. It could be 3 hours, it could be 20 minutes, it could be 2 months, it doesn't matter. But just for the sake of example, 3 days later, somebody starts up a conversation with, you never listen to me. And you do all the things that Allie just demonstrated. You take care of them, you find a way to heal and get things back to peace. 3 days later, I would love if you then brought up to the other person, hey, do you remember that conversation we had the other day? I'm glad we're both feeling better about it. I wondered if I could ask, though, when bringing something up to me, if there's any way that we could try maybe a little bit of a softer approach. It would just help me to be able to be more on your side if I don't also have to field something that at least I perceived as an
Mhm.
accusation.
Mhm.
We didn't self-abandon. We just delayed a little bit. And also,
Right.
if the pattern in a relationship is hard start, pacify, 3 days later, hey, could we not hard start?
Mhm.
Um, then we're speaking to the general patterns in the relationship overall. We're trying to course correct on both sides, and that either happens or it doesn't. If I'm 20 instances deep to, hey, it's hard for me when you accuse me of things, to be very supportive to you. If this is the 20th time I've brought that up, we're having a different conversation. We're having a
Right. At that
broader
point.
conversation about where we're at in our broader dynamics, right? There's no
Right.
self-abandonment here.
Right. My last thought with this is I wonder too, like how you feel about this idea of like, say we are coming to our friend or partner, and this isn't about actually something that like has to do with our relationship in particular. You just want to vent, and you know that, say, your boyfriend is prone to just like jumping to fix. Um, could you say something at the start of the conversation like, hey, something's really bothering me. And I just like I'm just wanting to vent about this. I'm just looking to like be held in this moment. Like I'm not trying to like look for like solutions to this problem. Like would you be open to just like holding space for me right now?
Yeah, you could do it at the beginning, you could do it in the middle, you could do it 3 times, you could do it 2 months later, you could do it whenever. And that's one of my big just lessons I try to teach everybody is, um, the beginning of the healthy communication can be at any point. It could be before the conversation, it could be right as you start, it could be 5 seconds in or 2 hours in. There's no point at which communication is bad and therefore we can just abandon the need to begin to communicate effectively. You start bad, fix it. It was bad, go back, do it again. Try better next time. All of that. Like it at some point, people just got to be nice. So you start being nice as soon as you recognize that you can add that here.
Yeah. We can always start over, reconfigure, come from a different approach.
Yeah.
All right. I hope this conversation was really helpful. I know it was helpful for me. All right. New quote on the board. I pray that oh God. Okay. Restart. We can always restart, like I just said. I pray that we may be justified in our hope and unalone in our sorrow. I feel like this is I don't know. I feel like an old wise man said this.
I actually want to look where this came from. I know I heard it from John Green, but I can't remember where he said he got it from.
Oh.
Maybe it's his. I think it might be his actually.
The language is just so like formal that I wonder if I don't know.
Yeah. He's I don't know if he's exactly old, but he's an aging wise man.
He's
I
not that
I
old.
I think John Green's amazing, honestly. Like I think his articulate understanding of humans is so deep and so rich, truly. So
Yeah, you've sent me a video of his before, I believe.
yeah, The Seduction of Despair is, I think, one of the best videos that anyone has ever made on the idea of suffering.
Mm,
So
go check it out.
absolutely. I'll try to remember to link that in the show notes. But um, yeah, I mean, I like the idea that we may be justified in our hope because that's no guarantee of a successful outcome. It's just hope and hope based on something real. That feels to me like such a beautiful, delicate little framing. And then, of course, to remember that the sorrow doesn't need to be removed and our hope does nothing to change it per se. But what it needs is community, togetherness. Just don't want to be alone in it. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a beautiful quote. Um I think some people view hope as dangerous, or kind of like resist having hope because they don't want to like get their hopes up to be let down, and so they don't feel comfortable being hopeful.
That's called positive pessimism, and you are lying to yourself. Brene Brown talks about this. The idea of I don't want to get my hopes up. They are. Quit lying to yourself. Deal with the actual emotion that you actually have, which in that moment is hope and
Mhm.
excitement, and then deal with the actual emotion that you really have in the moments that they're dashed, which is dashed hope and maybe hopelessness. Deal with
Yeah.
the real emotion as it actually comes. Plus, I see the dangerous thing that I see almost everywhere in our society right now is we're so afraid to experience dashed hope that we don't hope for anything. And my God, what a desperate, sad existence to hope for nothing. People will be in the throes of a new relationship, butterflies and all. and still guarding themselves against it going badly. It's like, how many times in your life do you get to fall in love? Have some fucking fun, but it might go bad. Yeah, it might. Have some fucking fun.
Yeah, like this is what you've been wanting for so long, and like it's been one of your goals to be in a long-term healthy, joyful relationship, and now you are, and you're not letting yourself be happy and hopeful about it because you don't want to hurt yourself. But it's like then you're not actually experiencing what's great about the relationship. So yeah, I've seen that too.
One other quote I've been really stuck on lately is let me see if I can get this right. No amount of regret will change what happened, and no amount of worry is going to change what's going to happen.
Ooh.
But both of those things very much can ruin what is happening.
I like that one. That's a good quote. And then my last thoughts on the on Alone in Our Sorrow piece. I really someone illustrated a metaphor to me of the difference between empathy and sympathy is like sympathy is you see someone sitting down in a cave, a little hole, and you're up on top and you're just calling down into the hole like, "Hey, you good?" And then empathy is you come down into the cave and sit in the hole with them.
I love that metaphor.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, thank you all for joining us for this episode of the Delve podcast. As always, if you're interested in our services, head on over to delvepsych.com, DELVEPSYCH.com for a free consultation. And please do check out our Substack. We have really awesome topics that we're writing about over there at delvepsych.substack.com. And we'll see you all next week.
Thank you so much, Allie. Way to kick ass.
Thanks, Adam. You too.